In the internet right now, there's a massive battle going on between centralization and decentralization. Do something that works, learn from it, and then do something else.
When we are threatened by an external third party, the community that decides what we're going to look like. Therefore, we think it's the best reflection of the internet.
Know that the obstacles are only a day. Tomorrow will be a new day, and that obstacle won't be as bad. Or maybe it'll be worse than the day after.
What we set out to do with HackerNoon and all of the site is how we can reflect the internet. The merit should be the story.
We're people that built a company out of iteration and did not set out to make one of the most popular tech blogs. And that's just one example, and I don't mean to say you should take down Amazon. I'm just saying you should think about what you own and what you don't own. In your data, I think long term. You want to say, how much time reading did you create? Maybe you did one post and people spent, if it takes 5 minutes to read and 100 people read it, that's 5 to do is what you're reading. That's 6 hours. What happens and we learn from, that's what works. But the internet is very consolidated right now, and it's going to change. It's going to start, I think, with the blockchain and people looking at breaking out and breaking these infrastructures.
Hello hackers, this is Linh, COO of HackerNoon. Just want to jump in here to say that this is a live episode recorded from the University of Colorado in Boulder. We were invited by one of our contributing writers, Nathan Schneider, to his class, Disruptive Entrepreneurship, and also to the conference Conscious Capitalism in Boulder. We apologize in advance for any baby noise because our daughter, Nora, aka the real CEO of HackerNoon, was also invited. Without further ado, listen up.
You guys want to be on the HackerNoon podcast?
All right. So they are publishers of HackerNoon, which is one of the kind of big and growing tech publications right now. And they've been building this on the Medium platform. And I think doing this in a really interesting way, contending as a small business with a much bigger rule setter in the form of Medium, and charting a course for new kinds of publications. Can you just introduce yourselves a little bit about where you're coming from and how HackerNoon got started?
Yeah, first of all, guys, I want to say you guys are lucky to have a teacher like this. I wish I had more teachers like this when I was in school. He's good. They call you Professor Nathan? No.
What he meant is having people from actually doing the business, like talking to you guys, I think will make the theories and whatever classes you're going through a lot clearer. And we're a case study almost of what you guys are probably looking to.
In the internet right now, there's a massive battle going on between centralization and decentralization. Because the more you decentralize something, the more that someone will centralize it and make money. But backing up with us, we actually started as a marketing firm, and we serve startups, and we do 6-month contracts, and we'd split between equity and cash. And then in doing this, we started to create a bunch of blogs. We were like, we need our own blog. It was Art Plus Marketing was the first one. And we started to get top contributors like Craig from Craigslist, and we were building a top Medium, and we thought Medium would be the solution to supplanting WordPress, which powers 70% of sites on the internet today. So we built 15 blogs, and they started to grow. Then we moved them onto our own domains, still powered with the CMS of Medium, and HackerNoon started to really grow. So we started to level off all of our marketing clients and just keep feeding HackerNoon and putting our work, a bunch of part-time labor into it. It became the business, and now from AMI Publications, we're winding down all these marketing clients, we're winding down all of our other sites, and our only focus is HackerNoon. So we're people that built a company out of iteration and did not set out to make one of the most popular tech blogs. We're people that look at, do something that works, learn from it, and then do something else. And that's more about how we think. We think it's very pompous when people come out and they say, we're going to save this, we're going to save the world, scooters for everyone, free bikes, whatever it is they're saying. Just the idea of going out and setting out and saying, this is our mission, and that's what we're about. Well, let's see what you do. What you do is what you're about, and what happens and what we learn from, that's what works.
Yeah, so the way we gain revenue from HackerNoon is through this thing called the weekly sponsorship package. So I joined the company full-time August of 2017, and about 2 months after that, we launched our weekly sponsorship campaigns after the marketing clients have been leveled up. Now, what this package is, it is a way for us to basically have a livelihood on the site that we spent so many hours on without intruding any personal space of the readers that we value a lot. Think of this weekly sponsorships as like a billboard, we don't want to advertise shoes, like a personalized pair of shoes that you were looking on a site, and then you look on another site and you see the exact same pair of shoes. This is billboards. We advertise across the site, and anyone who sees the site can choose whether or not to engage with the ads or not.
Have you read HackerNoon before? Boom. Yeah, so we're publishing about 20 tech professionals a day. We have a bunch of college kids contributing to the site too. To contribute, it's as simple as stories at hackernoon.com and get published on our site, and an editor will review it. But now what's happening with us is the platform we build on medium.com is saying you can't run third-party sponsorships. And they have ads atop our site as a third party to us. So we think it's like they're stealing our livelihood, they're changing the terms, so we have to move off. Now, as a small business, to go from relying on a bunch of free tech to not relying on a bunch of free tech is going to take a lot of tech labor. So we're in a spot where we're growing as a business, but we don't have enough to turn around and hire 3 people. Hire 3 software engineers. You know what software engineers make? It's a lot. It's a great job to have. If you guys are considering it, I would say double down and learn to code. So we decided, whenever we had this threat, we looked at either selling the business or raising money to hire people. A lot of small businesses will run into this decision. If you receive a threat and a larger company changes your terms, you're really pretty powerless. If the University of Colorado turned around to you tomorrow and said, this year we had a pretty bad financial year. If you want to go to college next quarter, the tuition's double. What would you do? What would you do if your livelihood was taken away? So I imagine you would probably speak up about it. You'd probably look for a way to get more money. You'd probably fight it. But they're saying, no, that's the tuition. So you have to go elsewhere. If that happened and you guys all mobilized and said to the president, University of Colorado is crazy, they'll probably lower it again. And so we're reaching out to the community to raise money. So on Monday, we launched our equity crowdfunding campaign. And for background on that, this equity crowdfunding wasn't possible until the 2015 Jobs Act, and allowed private companies to sell shares to anyone in the world. Previously, private companies could only sell equity shares to accredited investors, and that means people that are worth over $1 million and are making over $100,000 a year, and a little higher than that, but that's like the rough range. So this law kind of opened up tons of deals to any individual citizen. So we're tapping into that law, and we're doing an equity crowdfunding campaign, and right now you can buy shares in HackerNoon. And since Monday, we've sold
$330,000, so we a third of the way to $1 million, which is the maximum according to the regulation crowdfunding.
We've never raised money this fast, but the community is resonating. It's unfair that tech companies that are large can just change the terms, and you have all these small businesses dependent on them. And we're not even depending on a large tech company. Imagine if your business depends on search traffic from Google, and Google changes their algorithm. You suddenly can't sell any furniture or whatever you're selling. The top down, if you start to look at how the internet actually works, if you imagine America as a whole thing, 100%, you're going to have 49% of that land is Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook. Oh yeah, I forgot about them. But the internet is very consolidated right now, and it's going to change. It's going to start, I think, with the blockchain and people looking at breaking out and breaking these infrastructures. Like if you look at Amazon, imagine if you actually owned your data and you said to Amazon's big competitive advantage, they have the Prime subscription, but they also know everything about you and what you buy. So if you buy a bunch from Amazon, they have this huge competitive advantage of what you actually want. If you could go to another e-commerce site and say log in with Amazon and give all the data I've given Amazon, all the search results, all the things I bought, that company would be able to surface goods for you just as good as Amazon. But Amazon won't give up that data. So and that's just one example, and I don't mean to say you should take down Amazon. I'm just saying you should think about what you own and what you don't own. And your data, I think, long term, you should fight to own it.
Hey hackers! Do you have a timely tech story you want to get published? Maybe you recognize the way certain systems trend affecting our everyday lives, or have a vision of the future for the blockchain technology. Maybe you're on the field of play and know what it takes to make a great team, or how to remain agile in today's competitive, tech-rich environment. Share your expertise with the community at large on HackerNoon. Email us, stories@hackernoon.com, and a real human will review your submission.
So tell us some of the backstory here. Tell us a bit about the steps when you saw HackerNoon starting to take off and you were starting to pivot and trying to make decisions about where to direct your energy. What kind of feedback loops were you working with? What kind of information were you working with about what success was looking like, what kind of effects you were having, what ways you were able to measure your audience? We were just talking about attention economies. What informed the choices?
Money.
No, definitely not. We did not make money from the sites until the weekly sponsorship. So what we set out to do with HackerNoon and all of the sites is how we can reflect the internet with the text, the content that we own. And if you look at journalism as a whole and all the other sites, what you see is a bunch of people deciding what the editorial will look like. So they will have a team, and then they will decide today to break X news and today to have people think X thoughts. For us, we have zero editorial power. It's the community that decides what we're going to look like. Therefore, we think it's the best reflection of the internet. We have 7,000 contributing
we really
writers.
saw the rise of cryptocurrency and blockchain in our
And we didn't set out to be a blockchain cryptocurrency destination at all.
People just started submitting more, and then once there's a viral story, it's a feedback loop, and then people want to be like them, and they'll submit more blockchain stories. So if you write a viral story on your site, you will get more submissions that are related to that topic.
So we have 7,000 writers, 200,000 daily readers, and for the past 2.5 years, we've been publishing every single day. We have about 50 submissions to our site, inbound submissions, and we publish about 20 a day. So we have a library of 25,000 posts that we can learn from. Now, you talk about attention and feedback loop. We value long-form posts, and the posts that actually perform the best on HackerNoon is not breaking news. It's not like our similar sites like
we don't want to break news. We want to have expertise. We want the smartest people in tech publishing why they're making what they're making and why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, it's the opinions, first-hand opinions of leaders in tech. This is our crowdfunding announcement.
See that cat? That's what drives all of our success. Right there. The internet loves cats. If you take anything away from this session, cats. But back to also the question of focus. I held out longer than Ling to kill or wind down the other sites. I still thought for longer that these 15 other sites we should keep growing, and we should have a poetry site, and we should have a travel site. But whenever you're threatened, and you have to double down on what's working. And so we spun one out into its own business that's now owned by the editor of that site. So psiloveyou.xyz is the domain, and that one, it was I kind of had to admit failure. Hey, we couldn't make a poetry site profitable. Surprise, surprise. But Dan's still working at it, and he has a Patreon page, and it's growing. So I recommend you support him if you like poetry.
It's called P.S. I Love You.
It's P.S.
I love you.xyz.
Like the end of the alphabet. Online dating vocabulary. What you need to know. So you guys have any questions for us, or want us to talk about something we've said?
Would you guys say that your background in marketing and things like that was intricate for being able to actually represent your site, not only as a blog site, but it seems almost like with your own brand, which is supposed to represent what you have to represent expertise-wise? Do you think that kind of set you aside from other sites and just had an abundance of information to be able to post something very deeply?
It definitely helped. Ling, before this, she was head of marketing for a university called Minerva that raised $100 million to disrupt education. Was head of marketing in Asia, and I helped in marketing. I was with a company called Smart Recruiters that went from about 5 to 150 people, and it was a lot of grassroots marketing and going through the funding rounds and stuff. So that definitely helped, and it helps in terms of building a brand, but also educating your people and communicating your story. But I think more important than that is the internet and thinking about how the internet works. I think that's been more instrumental to our success. How do we just keep wanting the experts to publish on our site? And thinking about more setting your own metrics, and saying, hey, we want to improve the Alexa ranking of the site. How do we get more high quality link backs? Who do we partner with? Where do we publish on our site? Where do they publish on their site? And how do we create winning relationships where we're both gaining value? Those type of things that hey, I only have to click 2 buttons each time. I trust you're a top contributor and you can come here and we're going to help you out in that way. And it's not something where we each have to spend little time, but we both gain. So more trying to find relationships like that, I think, are more important in growing the site. Like any site, you look like, what is it that they're doing that's just rinse and repeat? And finding that spot where like they're either bringing a lot of content in or they're surfacing a type of good that everybody wants. Facebook, every single thing was about getting you to 10 friends in the onboarding experience. You forget it because you've been on it so long, but like that, everything they do in the beginning is get to 10 friends, then your news feed will be filled, then you have people to message, then you have this emotional connection. So I think thinking about why a site is popular or an app is popular is more important to our success than marketing, and also just like sheer willpower. Like we did get offers to buy the company, they were below market rate, but it would have been easy to just take the cash and walk away and not do fights. And so it's like, if you want your own thing, it's just like, you just keep doing it over and over again, and eventually, you've done it for 30 days, the 31st day will be great, the 32nd day will suck, then you have to do it for another 60 days, then the 61st day will be amazing, and the 62nd day will suck. So there's like a reality of just grind it. Like, don't, and I don't mean like overwork yourself, but like just know that the obstacles are only a day. And know that like tomorrow will be a new day and that obstacle won't be as bad. Or maybe it'll be worse and the day after it'll be better.
On the topic of the attention economy, I saw on one of your, I think it might have been on one of the investing information pages, you were measuring the amount of time that readers are spending on the site. I mean, what kind of information are you getting from Medium? What are the ways that you're kind of being encouraged by the platform to use that information to optimize what you're doing? What are you optimizing for?
We actually talked in the comments on our crowdfunding page this morning about what are the stats that are most important to a publication like ours. Someone says that, how many Medium followers you have is one of the stats, and we strongly disagree with that. You wouldn't judge a person's Facebook post by the number of friends they have. Similarly, you shouldn't judge the story by the number of Medium followers you have on whatever site, right? It should be, the merit should be the story and the story itself. So I think the most important stat should be minutes reading. So
and
how
Medium
many
did
people...
a good job of popularizing this. You have to give them credit. Like before them, a lot of people did think in page views. Now a page view is cheap. Why does a slideshow exist? It exists because that person's metric is page views. So instead of having one page view when you go to look at those 10 celebrity lists, they get 10 page views. And that person did a great job. And he's applauded. He comes into the marketing meeting, he's like, we 10x'd our page views. It's like, what's that mean? Like, it's the same amount of time on site, and you made the user click the button 10 times, yeah. So, like, time reading, we want to take it a step further. We want to put it front and center. Like, instead of Twitter and Medium where it says followers, we want to say, how much time reading did you create? Maybe you did one post, and people spent, if it takes 5 minutes to read, and 100 people read it, that's 500 minutes of reading. That's 6 hours.
But with your sponsorship model, you're not directly monetizing that time.
No, not at all.
No, but by serving the contributor and optimizing for quality content, we're serving the sponsor. Yeah. So the sponsor is always second, even though they may think they're first. If there's nothing else first, there's no sponsor to exist. A sponsor can't exist without someone to sponsor. So like quality it should be your first metric.
Yeah, in the attention economy, what we optimize for is the quality of the story. That's it, like the merit of the story. How many people, share it? How many people think that it's useful and helpful for them?
Yeah, with reading, it's clear. Like if you finish the book, it's a good book, and that's a lot of time reading, and that's a metric of quality. If you read the first 10 pages and you were like, I don't want to continue, the quality is bad. So it's like, think about dividing the book by one blog post. If you look at 2 posts, each of them for 30 seconds, that's worse than you reading one post for 3 minutes. I'd rather have you get one post that you actually gain value from and leave my site.
Hey hackers, do you have a timely tech story you want to get published? Maybe you recognize the way certain systems trend affecting our everyday lives, or have a vision of the future for the blockchain technology. Maybe you're on the field of play and know what it takes to make a great team, or how to remain agile in today's competitive, tech-rich environment. Share your expertise with the community at large on HackerNoon. Email us, stories@hackernoon.com, and a real human will review your submission.
One remarkable thing, for instance, about something like the Amazon Kindle is that now it's possible for a company to know, a publisher and a bookseller to know whether you're actually finishing the books you buy. Tell us a bit too about the experience of building a startup while in the context of a family.
It's tough. She's the CEO.
I never sleep. No, but it's a beautiful thing at the same time, like every single hour we spend on the business, we also know that it's going to go towards the family, because this is basically just a mom and pop shop, just the two of us. And
we're raising money to not just be a mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
More like mom, pop, and friends.
And I guess we have a meaning in what we do, so it's what drives us every day. We know that people want to read more. We know that there are people rallying behind us when we are threatened by an external third party. It's things like that that keep us going. Being a family is, we understand each other. We, other businesses, you have to set up meetings. You have to take some time to kind of like get into the groups with your coworkers, your partners. Here, we already know that we have that deep level of understanding of each other, that, we can solve problems, we can talk about our business strategies, during our grocery shopping trips or something like that. I like that integration.
Yeah, and we get to see her grow up more. So we have a co-working one-room office, and we work out of our house. So, Nora's around. She goes to daycare 2 to 3 days a week, and the other days she's just chilling with us. And, she's now learned what the phone is, which is a questionable thing, and sees us on the computer, which is like its own, challenges. But like at this age, you're never going to get the time back. Once she turns 1, you can't go back and see her crawl again. It was so depressing to see her stop crawling. It's like, you're so proud that I'm walking, but like, man, crawling was pretty cool. So like, I think as the future of work, I'm very keen on remote work. I think the more specialized your skills get, the easier it is to create demand, get clients, or get a job and be remote. The next 3 jobs we're hiring for are all remote, and our plan is once a quarter to go to the location all together, spend about a week together working, then go away for 3 months and go back to our own place. And that's it's the power of the internet, and like you can optimize for different things when you think about your career. And the idea of living where you want to live is a powerful thing. And I think if you live where you want to live and you create your own good routine, you'll work better than if you have to spend 45 minutes driving further to the office, or walking around, or you have a coworker you don't like working next to, or it's an open space and they're taking calls all the time, and you're like, I literally just want to write, like, shut up. So like, I think like creating your own space is a very powerful thing. And like, I wish I was where you are now in terms of like the opportunities that are available for remote work, and thinking about working from anywhere. And you can literally just message any client and be like, or any company you like, and if they're small and you're like, I just want to help in this way, they'll be responsive. That like people are starting to get it more, and it's been I'm very thankful that it takes work to set up, but I'm very thankful for it, and I'm very optimistic about the future of remote work.
And as for me as a working mom, I think one of the best things about being a mom and an entrepreneur is you can choose whether and how much and to what extent you can dedicate your time into either of those roles. With traditional jobs, you need to fight for that time away, and you either have to choose to leave work, or you have to choose to send your kids to daycare at an early age. And as for me, I don't have to do either. I do want to be both, and I am able to do both because I choose my work and I choose my mom responsibility.
But don't kid yourself. It's like, if you think building a startup is hard, this is like a startup 2x. The baby takes way more than a business. And like right now, like my mom, who lives 10 minutes away from me, was going to come with us, babysit for yesterday's event and today. And then our other friend gets sick, and she has to drive him to a procedure in Denver. And he's giving us babysitter recommendations. We're texting them like crazy on Tuesday night while trying to reply to these investor comments on the page. And it's like, hopefully you work with people. Nathan's like, yeah, just bring her in. It's fine.
Any other questions? Talk about places, because you've made an unusual choice to work out of a place that is not Silicon Valley, basically, right? Or Boulder or something like that. Why did you make that decision? What are the costs and benefits of that choice?
It's funny, a lot of people ask that. Our traffic and our basically business focus just doubled whenever we moved away from the hustle and bustle of the city. And I think there's something to be said about that. The allure of Silicon Valley, or having a bunch of meetings and having a lot of connections and networking events might lure you into thinking that it's more opportunities. But, the more time you spend networking, it's more time you spend not working on your actual business problems at hand. So whenever we move away from it, we realize that we see clarity in the work that we do, and we do travel now and then. We are here in Boulder today.
I used to take a lot of meetings, and then since I moved, I don't take more than 2 meetings a day. If you want to meet with me, it should be important, and I'm going to focus on it, and it's going to be important, but you're not going to hijack my day. I have a lot of stuff to do, and I used to just take too many meetings. There's nothing wrong with saying no. No, I don't want to meet you today. Maybe next week. Saying no is a very powerful thing that, early in your career, you're going to want to say yes a lot. And yes does open a lot of opportunities, but no is the opportunity cost. It opens a lot of opportunities the other way. And we actually moved to Colorado because we had family there, and we wanted the support in raising our daughter and being in fresh air. And we did used to live in San Francisco. I lived there for 6 years, and I think it's one of the best cities for young professionals. And if you're considering it, it's awesome. Our site wouldn't be as big as today if we didn't live there, because we met tons of people that then are willing to help grow this thing. So it's just trade-offs, and the time that you make the trade-offs, you just want to understand why you make that choice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've got to wrap up now.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thanks for bringing Nora.
This has been a special episode of the HackerNoon podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube, and be sure to follow us on social media. You can also find us at HackerNoon.com and podcast.hackernoon.com. Until the next time, thanks for tuning in.